Okay, everybody, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. We're coming in a little bit later than we usually do because we had some interesting information come out earlier today. I wasn't able to make a video about it when it dropped, but definitely want to take a little bit of time to talk about this because this is something that, as veterans of my channel know, I talk about quite a bit around here. And until today, there wasn't really any reason to believe that it was anything other than just, me talking because you got to have stuff to talk about. But today we actually got something concerning Jadeveon Clowney that indicated that there might be some actual degree of interest in bringing him back. And you guys know I've been a Clowney guy for a while now. Would love to bring him back. But until today, I had no reason to believe he was even on the team's radar. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So Aaron Wilson tweeted this out a little earlier today. Former top overall pick, three-time Pro Bowl edge Jadeveon Clowney visited the Browns today. So he visited with Cleveland. That was the big news. But apparently, and Aaron Wilson is a Texans beat reporter, so he would, of course, be reporting it from this perspective. He has interest from the Houston Texans and the Seattle Seahawks, among several other teams, as his market continues to grow. So it sounds like Clowney's kind of coming out of hibernation here. He's now starting to think about what team he wants to link up with. It is about that time of the offseason where you start figuring out what your options are. Because again, I'm sure Clowney doesn't want to bother with training camp. He feels like he doesn't need it. And he's shown in previous years, I want to be clear about this. He has shown in previous years he doesn't necessarily need training camp. And, he's an older player. If he can avoid going through it, then he'd prefer to do that. But regardless, it does seem like things are picking up now. And while this tweet indicates there are quite a few teams that are interested, the Seahawks are one of three teams that were actually name dropped. Clowney lives and trains in Houston and told, what is this? Yeah, KPRC2 of Houston, an NBC affiliate, he's got a lot left in the tank. And I agree with that. I believe that he does have a lot left in the tank. He was very good last year for the Dallas Cowboys on a defense that was historically bad. He was probably their best player last year, which, don't get me wrong, that's not saying a whole lot. But I do believe that he was one of the only guys on that defense who was effective in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that he did what he did, despite having no real help, that tells me he still has plenty of juice left. So I'm really happy and excited that the Seahawks are apparently a team that is interested. But the question is that mutual? By the way, Jordan Schultz actually had this tweet a little bit earlier than that, where he talked about Jadeveon Clowney visiting with the Browns. My understanding is there's also an NFC West team in the mix that is very interested in Clowney. So that was kind of a little bit of a cryptic after note or post note in this tweet that got a lot of people wondering, well, which NFC West team is it? And I mean, the Seahawks were the team that made the most sense for a couple different reasons, but this presumably confirms it. Now, first of all, we got to ask ourselves, does Clowney have interest in the Seahawks? The Seahawks might be interested in him. Is he interested in them? And also, as Nemhauser points out here, the agent could be putting that out there as a way to build intrigue, even though it's not true. So this isn't ironclad confirmation of anything, don't get me wrong, but it's at least a pretty significant data point in favor of it being on the table. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. So Dan Viennes has a tweet here with a little bit of information that I thought was pretty interesting. These are texts from May and June that he was able to put out here publicly. We are determined to add another edge rusher, and if it's more feasible to sign Clowney for the time being, that might be the direction we go. Now, keep in mind, these texts are from May and June, so that means this conversation may have happened before we signed Dante Fowler. So it's possible that the team's perception of their edge rusher needs has changed because Fowler's been brought in here. I maintain a belief that this team could use another one, but obviously circumstances have changed. The second part of this, text though, I don't think Clowney wants to play for the Alaska Seahawks though, and that's always been kind of the obstacle here. Does Clowney want to play for Seattle? And on most levels, I think the answer is yes. But it's possible that the West Coast just does not appeal to Jadeveon Clowney. He's an older player. He's been around a long time. He's made plenty of money in the NFL. He seems to be an East Coast guy. There's a reason why a couple years ago he was playing for the Carolina Panthers during a season where the Panthers were more or less a dead-end team. They had no real chance of doing anything of note. And there's a reason why he has generally tried to stay on the eastern side of the country because that's where he wants to be. It seems like he wants to be on the East Coast. It seems like there's some concessions he's willing to make in terms of getting closer to like the middle of the country. But once you start talking about getting him to cross that midpoint of the country and going over to a place like Seattle or California or even Arizona, Nevada, seems like that's something that he's not super into. Remember, he played college football at Carolina, with South Carolina with the Gamecocks, so there is that attachment there. So as much as I think Clowney thinks this team is going to be very good, I'm sure he would look at it as an opportunity to finally get his Super Bowl ring. I think that he would look at it as an opportunity to play under a coach that he did great stuff with in Mike McDonald because of their history in Baltimore. I think he looks at the defense and thinks I could be a really, really good player in the context of that unit. That West Coast thing might end up being the thing that pushes him. I mean, we're talking about the Cleveland Browns here, right? We're talking about the Cleveland Browns, a team that is almost preordained to pick in the top 3 this year, but they're in Ohio, and I guess that's just a little bit more palatable. So that may be the obstacle here. Another tweet that Dan Viennes referenced, we're still trying to get one more wave for our edge rush. You can guess who the top 3 remaining guys on our list are. Clowney is at the top now. It would be a 1-year deal for whoever we sign, if we sign someone. Some of these moves could be summertime acquisitions. So it kind of sounds like this is pre-Dante Fowler signing, but there's no way to be sure. And it does, I mean, if nothing else, it tells us that the team is hot to trot on Clowney. And I've been arguing for this team getting Clowney for years now. Not going to be that expensive. Really good fit for this defense. I mean, he's a really good fit for most defenses, I think, as long as you're not looking for a hyperactive speed rusher off the edge. And it should be something that he likes too, as long as he can get over the geography. Because this is a defense that he's proven he can be excellent in. And it's under a coach that he had maybe the best season of his career in, or at the very least, the best season of his career in the later portions of it. So it all adds up. Well, it almost all adds up. There's one piece of it that doesn't add up, which we just went over. But Jadeveon Clowney, just so we understand what we're dealing with here, he is 33, turns 34, I think, the day after the Super Bowl. And I want to emphasize this. 13 games on the Dallas Cowboys, only 6 starts, 8.5 sacks. And I believe it was 22 pressures. Yeah, 22 pressures. On one of the worst defenses in recent NFL history. The 2025 Dallas Cowboys couldn't do anything defensively, and he was out there making things happen for them. That tells you how good he can still be. It is not easy to get 8.5 sacks on a team that is always playing from behind because they can't stop anybody. So when I look at Jadeveon Clowney, I don't just see an older player. I see a player that can still play at a very high level. I see a guy who could maybe replicate the success that he had in 2023 under Mike McDonald in Baltimore. And I look at our edge room and I see a unit that we could survive with. I don't know if we can thrive with it though. Like, you take a look at our edge room, you've got some good players, but you don't have the over-the-top star, and I don't see anybody in that group that is likely to become that star unless DeMarcus Lawrence can hit up the Fountain of Youth one more time. And the way you overcome that, not having the Myles Garrett or the Max Crosby or the Nick Bosa or whoever, whatever superstar player you like, is to be very deep. And Clowney, if we go 5 deep at edge with the Clowney and the guys we currently have, that can overcome that. And even if you're not a fan of box score stats, by the way, and Pro Football Focus has their own problems, Clowney was considered by PFF as one of the best edge rushers in football last year, no matter how you slice it. This guy has plenty of gas left. I think he could be a great player, and I would love to bring him in here. And if nothing else, I'm happy that the team is trying here. It seems like they're trying. They may not be able to be successful because of Clowney's desire to be on the other side of the country. But if that's the case, there's nothing you can do about that. All you can do is try. All you can do is put your best effort in, and there does seem to be a concerted interest in making this happen. But we'll see where the Clowney stuff goes over the next, really, it could be months. He may not even sign until October. But worth monitoring. So, see you guys later. Go Hawks. That's really all I got. More stuff coming soon. And everyone have a good rest of your day.